Welcome back to another season of the Coyote Volleyball Show presented by Scooters Coffee. I'm John Thayer and joined by head coach Leanne Williamson. We'll do this throughout the course of the volleyball season. Keep you up to date on what's been happening with Coyote Volleyball and a look ahead of the matchups each and every week. Coach, great to have you back. I know it's exciting this time of year. Probably a little nervous. You're about to kick off the season, but exciting nonetheless. And I know fans are really excited for the fall here.
Yeah, it's been a great couple weeks to start with. Preseason has been intense in the best of ways. It's a great group of players right now and people that have kind of bound together really well, and they're pushing each other every single day. So practices have been tough. It's been a lot of fun to be a part of, and there's no nerves yet, I will tell you that, but I am excited just to continue to watch them compete against other people than just ourselves. Before
we get too much into volleyball, how was your summer? You get a chance to step back a little bit, have some family time, and do some things like that?
Oh, yeah. Maybe not as much as we would all like all the time, but got out on the boat, got to go camping, spend some time with the kids, maybe forced them a little bit this year because they're kind of getting to the point where all they want to do is be with their friends. But we definitely had some good off time and got through camps and honestly, we were kind of all ready to get back in the gym at that point.
We'll get into the big tournament coming up here this weekend in just a little bit, but talk about the fall camp and how things have come together. I know this team has some returners from last year. It has changed a little bit with some additions. Obviously, the transfer portal and the recruiting class that you guys brought in. It was a very highly ranked recruiting class, and I know people are really excited to see what that can do for the volleyball program, but how has it come together here in fall camp?
Really good. You look at, honestly, the amount of time that they spent together before fall camp started is, I think, where it really started at a high note. I mean, our freshmen moved in middle of June. We had one of our transfers move in the spring season, another one just after July 4th. So they all had a lot of time together before they even stepped on the floor with us. And I think it was very evident day one that they did things. They got in the gym, they worked out with our strength conditioning coach, and with that, we were able to hit the ground running at a really high rate. And we did get 5 additional days of preseason, which is not something that I think everybody knows. But with that, we were able to be, I think, more efficient with our practices. We didn't necessarily add practices, but we lengthened them a little bit. And we were able to really push them in those sessions. And the nice thing is they were physically ready for that and handled it really well. So the depth is huge right now in our gym, which is a great problem to have. Makes it hard here as we get closer to game day. But it's going to be a fun year. I mean, the groups, the upperclassmen, the returners have done a good job of getting better. Our freshmen coming in have done a good job of acclimating to our system and how we do things in the team. And our returners have really pushed things too. So it's a good group. We're really happy with them. But we are going to look different. Almost half of our team is new from last fall. So it's been a fun year, but definitely a lot of growth here moving forward too.
I think with your team, depth is going to be something we talk about all year long, and how that continues to help this team. It can be a really good thing, and it can be a thing that causes some problems. If everybody's not adapting to their role, how has your team adapted as they, and you'll know more obviously as you get into some of these games, but just adapted to maybe a different role or maybe not as much of a role as they'd hoped?
Well, I think the nice thing is so far we haven't had to, see that too much. We haven't had to deal with that too much because it has been so intense and even within our gym that everybody's had opportunities. Even going into our last exhibition match, everybody played in some capacity. So to be able to give everybody those opportunities to show what they can do in game settings, in every day in practice has been really good for us. But I think in the long run, it's going to pay off too because we're playing against high level competition every day in our own gym. So when we go and face somebody else, I don't feel like it's going to be a new scene, right? It's something that we see daily, and I think it's going to help us a lot. To kind of go back to your point, though, our team has a really good culture right now. They are supportive of each other. They have worked on building each other up and creating those really good, solid relationships that I feel good with where this team is at, and I feel good with how they're going to handle it when we do put a lineup out there. Not that it's easy, but making sure that we're constantly putting the team first while continuing to try to make each individual just a little bit better.
I know you mentioned the last exhibition. That was this last weekend at Northern Iowa. People saw that on the schedule. Maybe some thought it was the start of the regular season. But an exhibition, how important are those as you get ready for the season? You can try to simulate game settings in your own practices, but to play someone else, how important is that?
I mean, I just said it this weekend. I can't even remember the days and that we didn't play an exhibition. Like, how crazy was it to go into our first match never playing somebody else? So it was great just to get some of the nerves out. You know, again, our freshmen wearing a Coyote jersey for the first time and stepping foot on the floor. Our transfers having that, you know, the ability to learn through both successes and failures without it having to count towards a win or a loss. So, I mean, we did 5 different lineups. I mean, we had a lot of different people playing, and I think with that, I was really happy with how it went and what we were able to learn. And I think it puts us into a position this week that we know exactly what we need to get better at now, because we did play somebody else where we didn't know all their tendencies. They didn't know us, and what things are we good at, what things do we struggle with, what's kind of that map, what's that blueprint here to making us the most prepared team that we can be come Saturday.
I know you mentioned about half the team is new from last fall, so our fans are going to have to get used to some new names. Who are some of those names that maybe you think needs to step up for this team to have a really successful year?
I mean, I would have to name all 7 of them. I mean, I just feel like the entire group is doing a really good job. Both transfers, I think, are inputting themselves into the team, that they're both vying for playing time, and I think our freshmen are as well. So I don't think it's 1 or 2 people. I think it's everybody right now, where you could see returners, you could see new faces, and I wouldn't be surprised either way here as we go into that first weekend and beyond.
Speaking of a transfer, Cheyenne will join us here in just coming up in the Coyote Volleyball Show, a player who came in and chose to spend her last year here and help this program.
Cheyenne's been a great addition. You'll see it, but she has a ton of energy. She's a fun person to be around. I think she's extremely supportive. I think her teammates love her, and she wants to be really good, you know, so she's coachable and she asks questions, and I think fans are going to enjoy watching her play, and partly because I know our team loves playing with her. So I think we'll all get to know her here as we go.
Coach Leanne Williamson will rejoin us coming up in just a little bit. We'll talk about the tournament to open the season coming up this weekend for Coyote Volleyball. That is on the way, but coming up next, Cheyenne Halady will join us, a transfer into the volleyball program this year from Canada. We'll talk to her next when the Coyote Volleyball Show, presented by Scooters Coffee, rolls on.
This segment brought to you by Scooters Coffee. Scooters Coffee. Amazing drinks, amazing people, amazingly fast.
Back in the Coyote Volleyball Show, presented by Scooters. Each and every week, we will try to have a conversation with a Coyote volleyball player, and our first of the season is Cheyenne Halady. Cheyenne, how are you? The season getting going? I'm sure you're getting excited.
Very, very excited. I'm happy to be here, and I'm excited for the season.
You're here this year at the University of South Dakota. You've been a couple of places in your college volleyball career. Talk about your college experience up to this point.
Yeah, so I started out a little closer to home in Ohio at Youngstown State and enjoyed my time there. You know, leaving home for the first time always was a cool experience. But ultimately just felt like I needed to go somewhere else that was a little bit more fitting. So I found myself in Texas, a little further from home. My parents were like, well, I thought you were going to stay close. And I was like, no, 26 hours now. So I headed south, and I really enjoyed UTSA. I mean, I went there as a middle and came out right side, so some good changes there. And I spent 2 years there. I decided to graduate a little earlier and spend my last year of eligibility here at University of South Dakota.
Now, you said you started out closer to home. Home is not in Ohio. Home is north of the border,
Home is north. Home is Toronto, Canada. So it was like 4 hours, which was like doable. But in that season, COVID was going on and the borders were closed. So like right when the borders opened, I'm like, oh, I'm going to Texas. So my parents did not get the close to home experience at all.
Now, before you were in college volleyball, I believe you were selected to the Team Ontario Europe for a couple of seasons.
Yes.
Describe that experience for you.
So COVID actually also played a part in that, because I was supposed to go to France, train with their national team. It was going to be a great experience. And it was maybe the week before COVID started all happening, and I wasn't able to make the trip to Europe. But in the training facility, it was like awesome. It was awesome to play with like really good standout girls that I've been playing against, just like in the camps. It was a lot of fun.
Well, eventually, obviously, you chose the University of South Dakota. What was that decision process like for you, and what ultimately led you to decide that this was the place that you were going to spend that last year of college volleyball?
Yeah, so I got in the portal as a grad transfer, so I got in a little bit earlier than the undergraduate transfers, which was nice. I had a little bit more time, but it was definitely still very stressful. So I had a lot of calls, and ultimately when I got on the phone with Leanne and Michael, I was like, wow, like that was really good. We were on the phone for like an hour, and I feel like we could have like kept going. So right away, it was funny because I hadn't ever been to South Dakota, and like I saw the call, I was like, okay, like South Dakota. And then after I called my parents, I'm like, South Dakota, like there's stuff going on there. So we got on the phone call went great, and then I ended up visiting, I think a week after, and literally like just fell in love with it. Like everything was just checking my boxes. I actually got on a Zoom call with a few of the girls who are now my teammates. And it's funny because the campus was completely empty because it was like a week after classes ended. So I got on a Zoom call with them, and it was like so weird in a good way because I felt like I was on like FaceTime with my friends. Like I think that Zoom call was like 45 minutes, and it was like I like came back in the room with my parents and all the coaches, and I was like, that was like really, really good. Because usually Zoom calls are like, you feel like you're being interviewed, but it was like literally like a FaceTime call with my friends. So I was like, okay, I got to go here. Like I need to be part of this. And I canceled all my other visits and was like, I'm going to be a Coyote. And here I am.
Well, we're excited to have you here. And if anybody's learned anything about you here in this last few minutes, it's that you have a lot of energy. Are you always the Energizer? Have you always been the Energizer?
I'm definitely a lot. Big personality. I feel like I should hold the mic maybe a little lower. It might hurt for you to edit later, but yeah, big energy, big personality always.
What has fall camp been like for this team as it continues to try to build, up leading up to obviously the regular season, but for ultimate goals as well?
Yeah, so fall camp has been honestly like amazing. The depth of every single position group is insane. Like the scrimmages we have in practice are amazing. Like it's very, very competitive in the gym. Everybody wants each other to do better. I think our team culture is like one of the best teams I've ever been on. Like if you walked into our practice gym and you looked at everybody communicating with each other, you wouldn't be able to tell who was roommates, who was friends. Like everybody just has a genuine love for each other. And I think when you put 17 girls in a room, sometimes it could be hard to find, but I think like the girls and the personalities we have and just the genuine love we all have for each other really shows. And you could feel it when you play. Like I could just feel the love while playing with these girls. I love it.
What really excites you about this season with this group of gals?
I think going back to the depth is something that's really special. And something that's like not as common in a lot of programs, but I think the depth is just going to be so amazing for us, just with like the people we're seeing in the gym every single day are pushing everyone to be better. And I think that that's something that will really help in competition because we're facing amazing athletes every single day, that when we get to different players, I think we're going to be ready for anything. So we're
not going to tell Coach Leanne I asked this question,
okay.
But because it's always one game at a time. But you look at this schedule, and it looks like a really fun schedule. Is that exciting?
Oh my gosh, so exciting! Like I'm counting down the days until we go to Colorado Springs. I cannot wait. It's going to be a great year.
In a couple of weeks, you'll have a chance to play in front of the Coyote fans right here at home in the USD Classic.
Yes.
What would be your message to fans to make sure they come out that weekend, see this team in action for the first time?
I would honestly say, you do not want to miss it. Call off work. Just leave school. You're going to want to come and see this group play together, see the energy, see the talent. I think we've made a lot of good strides this fall camp, and I think it's only going up. I think that within the past 3 weeks, we've made good. We've improved a lot, and I think that it's only going to get better. And I think you just gotta come and see it. Honestly, you have to come and see it and see what I'm saying and see that it's true.
All right, Cheyenne, great stuff. Good luck this season.
Thank you.
Excited to have you here at USD.
Thank you.
Here on the Coyote Volleyball Show. What a great person to kick this thing off with all the energy. But good luck this year.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Go Yotes, come out and support.
All right, that's Cheyenne here on the Coyote Volleyball Show. Coming up next, we'll be rejoined by head coach Leanne Williamson. We'll talk about the opening weekend of the regular season tournament coming up for South Dakota. We'll also talk about, I know you've heard about it, that new floor that the Coyotes will play on at home as well. Nice. I know they're very excited for that. We'll talk to Coach Williamson when the Coyote Volleyball Show presented by Scooters Coffee rolls on after this.
Bye.
This segment brought to you by Scooters Coffee. Scooters Coffee. Amazing drinks, amazing people, amazingly fast.
Back in the Coyote Volleyball Show presented by Scooters Coffee. I'm John Thayer, joined by the head volleyball coach of the University of South Dakota, Leanne Williamson. Coach, it's finally game week, and you're getting ready for all of that. And I'm going to jump ahead for just a moment because in a couple of weeks, you'll get to host a tournament. You'll get that new floor on display, and I know there's been pictures, and maybe some people have seen it, but your team will get to play on it in a game setting here for the first time. Talk about that process. I know that's been a dream for you to be able to bring that new floor in and just continue to help that next step for the volleyball program. I think it's probably been a dream for a long time and a long process, but you really pushed it during Unite for USD. You said, here's what we want, here's what it costs, here's why we need it. Can you help us? And Coyote Nation really stepped up.
Absolutely. When you say it's been a dream for a long time, you're not kidding. I think we've been looking forward to hopefully bringing this in at some point in time for about 7 or 8 years. So it got to the point where we felt like that was what was next for our program. And, we knew that we were going to have to go out and fundraise for it. And we were up for the challenge, So I think going into it, we thought it was going to be maybe possibly a 2-year deal. But as we talked with more people, as we were able to kind of secure some of those donations, we realized this could happen in a solid year, and raised about $125,000 to make the court a reality for this fall. So it got delivered right before preseason. We had one practice in the back gym, and then we were able to have our second practice and the reveal out on the TerraFlex floor in our second practice. So it was kind of a surreal moment, honestly, because it is something that we've been talking about for so long that even when it got delivered, it was strange to think about that it was actually in our building. But it has been a game changer for us. Our players absolutely love playing on it. The people who are diving on the floor, are probably the happiest just because you'll see, but it's a lot easier to dive on that flooring. But the impact landing of our attackers, of our blockers, when people fall, it definitely kind of it's just better. The cushions that fall a little bit more or that landing. And we'd like to say that over time, it's going to benefit our physical well-being as well. And then lastly, and possibly what the fans are going to notice the most is just how it transforms the SCSC. It becomes the volleyball-only venue when we are playing, and it's incredible. If people come in on that main floor, I just challenge them to go up and look at it from up above because it's a pretty cool thing to see how much it transforms the space. So our program deserves it. The players, I'm so happy that they're able to take advantage of this moving forward, but I do think it goes to show the support that Coyote Volleyball has right now. And it's grown a lot over the years. I hope it continues to grow, but Coyote Nation is really what made this possible for us.
Player safety continues to be at the forefront, and that's a big part of the TerraFlex floor. Also, I can't imagine that's going to hurt recruiting in the future either, as you can show off this and kind of like a safety pad and just like what a lot of big volleyball programs around the country have.
Absolutely. Everybody that we're recruiting knows what the TerraFlex floor is. So it's definitely a benefit for us. But I think beyond that, it just goes to show, again, the support that volleyball has here. And everybody wants to play in front of people. They want to play for a program that people care about, that they want to be involved in, invested in. And we have that here, so it's just that one more thing that we get to show recruits of, this is why Coyote Volleyball is special. This is where we continue to go. And this is how we got here, and it's from people who support us day in and day out.
Finally, game week. Opening tournament of the season for you, and I'm sure game week was last week as you go into an exhibition, but still the first one that'll count towards a record, and you're going to go out to Colorado and play Fordham and Air Force in Colorado Springs. Talk about the season opening tournament and just the excitement building up for that.
One, I think our team is ready. They're very we will get more prepared throughout this week, but I think they're ready to play somebody else. I think that's why Saturday was so exciting for us as well. It's just a new opponent. It's a new challenge. It's a new opportunity for us to learn about ourselves and compete at a high level. But going into this weekend, I think it's great that we only have 2 matches. We get to really focus up on those 2 with our scouting reports and with our recovery and just being able to work through some of the things that are going to come up, the nuances of playing a game, the people who may struggle, the people who have a lot of success right away, how our teams handle the ebbs and the flow of the match. And because that's all a part of it. Those are all things that we see in practice, but it's different when there's somebody on the other side. It's a different level of pressure. So I think it's going to be a great challenge for us, but definitely looking forward to seeing somebody else again and being able to really start our season off strong.
When our teams go out to Colorado or Utah and some of those places, they always want to know, how does the elevation change affect your players, and how do you try to keep that challenge for the players to a minimum?
I mean, we'll discuss it, but it's not something that we make a huge deal about. We talk a lot about hydrating. I mean, that's one of the biggest things, is making sure that you are putting your body in the best position that you can. But are there going to be rallies that are really long that probably affect them a little bit different? Yeah. But the nice thing is it's affecting other people too. So learn how to breathe, learn how to reset for each play. But with the way this team plays defense, I think we're all going to be ready for some of those long rallies. So I'm sure it'll be there. But we will, we'll prevent it as much as possible, but you can't get rid of the elevation. So it's there.
I know a lot of people are excited for another season of Coyote Volleyball, and it starts this weekend. Coach, good luck this week. Safe travels to you and the team out to Colorado Springs, and we look forward to talking about it next week here on the Coyote Volleyball Show.
Thank you.
All right, that's Leanne Williamson, the head coach of the Coyote Volleyball program. I'm John Thayer. This has been an edition of the Coyote Volleyball Show, each and every week presented by Scooters Coffee. Join us right here for more conversation about Coyote Volleyball each and every week. This has been the Coyote Volleyball Show presented by Scooters Coffee.
The Coyote Volleyball Show is brought to you by Scooters Coffee. Scooters Coffee. Amazing drinks, amazing people, amazingly fast.